Welcome back to the news at 10. The network of civil society organizations of Nigeria has threatened to picket the office of the Chief Medical Director of the Federal Neuropsychiatric Hospital at Uselu, Edo State, should the CMD fail to vacate office by next week. The group made this threat at a press conference in Benin City, the Edo State capital, where they called for investigation over alleged mismanagement. Meanwhile, the CMD of the Federal Neuropsychiatric Hospital, Dr. Sunday Olotu, has said he is available for any form of investigation.
Members of the network of civil society organizations of Nigeria, NOXN, gather at the Borders Secretariat in Benin City, the Edo State capital, to brief journalists on the alleged mismanagement and other unlawful activities at the Federal Neuropsychiatric Hospital, Uselu, Benin City, under the current Chief Medical Director, Dr. Sunday Olotu. The president of NOXN, Barrister Abraham Oviawe, who read the group's position on the claims, said the organization became concerned following series of petitions and complaints by staff of the institution.
We are particularly worried at the pace by which impunity and fraud have been made to travel a very long distance in the public service without break.
The civil rights activists also threatened to picket the Federal Neuropsychiatric Hospital, Uselu, Benin City, should the federal government, through its agencies, fail to urgently look into the issues raised.
To put the record straight, unless the medical director vacate office, his tenure having expired, we shall occupy his office next week, thereby bringing to an end the slave trade area, which our people have been subjected to over the years.
In his reaction to the allegations, the Chief Medical Director of the hospital, Dr. Sunday Olotu, describes those calling for his sack or probe as mischief makers.
They have written left, right and center, and all investigations, all panel interview and whatever has shown that they have no case. They were stopped November 14th, 2014. If there is a merit or some merit in what they are saying, you would have heard by now, maybe one or two of them would have been justified. But there's nothing like that.
As the clock ticks towards the 48-hour ultimatum, stakeholders await the intervention of relevant authorities to avoid interruption in critical services the hospital renders to the public.
Let's switch lanes now to talk sports news. Here's Ayotunde Balogun.
Many thanks, Marachi. World number one Serena Williams is through to her 9th Wimbledon final following a straight-set victory over Elena Vesnina. Serena, who is aiming to win a 22nd Grand Slam title, was in ruthless form, dominating her unseeded opponent from Russia on her way to a 6-2, 6-love win in just 48 minutes. Germany's Angelique Kerber will place Serena Williams in the final of the Wimbledon Championships after beating Venus Williams in straight sets. Kerber won 6-4, 6-4 to reach her second Grand Slam final following her title-winning run in Melbourne. Saturday's championship decider is a rematch of the 2016 Australian Open final, which Kerber won in 3 sets. Antoine Griezmann scored twice as host France shocked world champions Germany 2-0 to reach the final of the 2016 European Championship. The Atletico de Madrid striker smashed in a penalty few seconds to the end of the first half. Griezmann then struck again in the 72nd minute to take his goal tally to 6, making him the tournament's leading goal scorer. France will now face Cristiano Ronaldo's Portugal in the final on Sunday, July the 10th. The Nigeria Football Federation has commended Spanish champions FC Barcelona's decision to set up an academy in Lagos to discover and develop young talents in the country. The FC Barcelona Academy, which will begin operation from September the 17th, is one of 2 FC Barca football schools spread across different countries of the world, and the first in Africa. The school will train children between ages 6 and 18 on FC Barca's style of play, the culture and ways of life of one of the most successful football clubs in the world. And that's a wrap in sports news. I'm Ayotunde. Followed in the news at 10 continues shortly.
Italian police have arrested a man suspected of being part of the killing of a Nigerian immigrant. 36-year-old Emmanuel Nnamdi was victim of what the government called a racist attack when a row broke out after racist abuse was made against his partner, 24-year-old Chinyere. This happened in Fermo, a town in Italy's east coast. The suspect, 35-year-old Amedeo Mancini, who was arrested earlier today for racially aggravated manslaughter, has been defended by his lawyer, who said he did not mean to kill Emmanuel and had punched him in self-defense. Emmanuel and Chinyere had fled Nigeria after both their families reportedly came under attack from Boko Haram. Meanwhile, the special assistant to the President on Foreign Affairs and Diaspora has condemned the gruesome stabbing to death of 17-year-old Fola Orebi in the UK. In a statement, Mrs. Abike Dabiri-Erewa described the death as another extrajudicial killing of Nigerian citizens in the UK, which is becoming worrisome. She's called for full investigation of the incident and calls on the UK government to make sure that justice prevails. She pointed out that Nigeria will not condone crime and criminal tendencies and takes exception to the harassment, killing and execution of her nationals abroad unjustifiably. It is an all-women race to number 10 Downing Street in the UK as Theresa May and Andrea Leadsom battle it out to become the next leader of the Conservative Party after Michael Gove was eliminated from the contest. Home Secretary Mrs. May finished with 199 votes after the second MP's ballot. Energy Minister Mrs. Leadsom had 84 and Mr. Gove, the Justice Secretary and one-time ally of Brexiteer lead campaigner Boris Johnson, got 46. Conservative members will now decide the winning candidates, with results due on September 9th. The winner will become the UK's second female Prime Minister. Zimbabweans have taken their social media protests beyond the internet as many anti-Mugabe protesters stormed the streets of Harare to demonstrate against President Mugabe's rule. A similar protest also took place in Johannesburg, South Africa, in support of their compatriots in Zimbabwe. Over 3 million Zimbabweans live and work in South Africa, which has a border with the southern African country.
They prayed, they sang, they shouted, they even had a message from God.
God is saying, your time is up. Give another generation a chance.
We are in solidarity with the people in Zimbabwe as we are coming to express our views, express our dissentiment to the regime through its consulate.
But no one at the Zimbabwean consulate came out to receive them or respond. They say they remain undaunted in their quest for a better Zimbabwe.
We are sending a very clear message to the government of Zimbabwe. That is the people of Zimbabwe, the children of Zimbabwe are now reclaiming their flag.
I'm a master's holder in law, but I'm jobless here and I'm suffering here because only of one man. Zimbabwe belongs to the majority.
We want the government to address our concerns. We want Mugabe to step down. This regime has failed to function.
We want to appeal to our army and our police. Stop hitting your brothers for a corrupt elite.
Over 3 million Zimbabweans live and work in South Africa, sending money and groceries to family back home or trading across the border. A recent ban on such imports by the Zimbabwean government threw the Beitbridge border post into chaos. That's another frustrating issue.
you have a serious problem with that. The first problem is that there is no money in the banks in Zimbabwe. People can't access their money. If we send the money to our relatives in Zimbabwe, they can't access it through the banks. Therefore, it means even if you send the money, they can't access the money to buy groceries. If you then buy groceries and decide to send them groceries, they confiscate that at the border.
Meanwhile, back in Zimbabwe, about 100 people have been arrested in the wake of the recent protests. Government has also threatened to arrest anyone sending out subversive messages via social media. All eyes are on the southern African country to see how this will all end. From Johannesburg, South Africa, Betty DBF, Channels Television News.
And the main news again. It's a new beginning for residents of Borno State as government today reopened Dikwa Road, formerly a major route for insurgents in the northeast. And trouble is looming in the oil sector as oil workers union Pengerson today embarked on a strike over welfare issues and non-passage of petroleum industry bill. That's News at 10 tonight. Thank you for watching. I am Amarachi Ubani. Good night.